Hey y'all, this is Emmanuel. Just want to say thank you so much to Tracie Layman. Thank you for her time and patience. I went over her time and she was nothing but kind. Thank you. And this interview goes into spoilers, so please go out there, buy, rent. You're going to enjoy this movie. Bob Trevino likes it, I promise you. I make a few mistakes in the beginning. I dub over them. It's kind of funny. It's supposed to be funny. So I hope you enjoyed the interview. Thank you so much. Filmmaker, is there any advice you would give to others?
It took me a minute to make my first feature, and I think a couple things I would say is learn to enjoy the process, wherever you are. Don't wait for permission because no one will ever give it to you. You pick projects that really matter to you and you know why you're doing them, and your why and your cause is so much bigger than any insecurities or fears, because it'll help you get through those insecurities and fears. If you can't be courageous for yourself, sometimes you can be courageous for your cause.
What's going on, everybody? This is indeed the E-Man. Chilling like a villain, singing like Bob Dylan, keeping on the low with some double stuff. Oreos! And I am so happy. Today is a great day in the neighborhood, like Mr. Rogers used to say. I have incredible guests today. My guest is a Texas-born, award-winning writer and director. She currently has a fantastic movie starring Barbie, Fiera, and my man, John Leguizamo, titled Bob Trevino Likes It. I am so honored. I am so happy to have Tracie Layman on the show today. How you doing, Tracie?
I'm doing okay, Emmanuel. What a great introduction. I'm so happy to talk to you.
I am so happy that you are here. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start. Well, first I want to say you are indeed the third person that I interviewed that is from the beautiful state of Texas. And so I'm gonna ask real quick. I just gotta ask: Whataburger versus In-N-Out. Which one you think is better?
Oh man, you're the first person to ask me this. I've never had to make this kind of choice because it's a hard choice.
I know.
For me, Whataburger has the nostalgic value that In-N-Out doesn't have, so it's always going to have that. But I've gotten used to In-N-Out now, so I don't know. But if as a one-off, I'd go with Whataburger.
Okay,
because like last meal, Whataburger. But like regular everyday kind of thing, probably In-N-Out.
Because I'm hearing about this. Like I live in South Carolina now, and there's this girl I used to work with. She was from Texas, and all she would talk about is this honey butter biscuit that's so amazing. And then I interviewed Chris Carr, and she said the same thing about this honey butter biscuit, and I'm hearing it's legendary.
I don't know if I've had the honey. I don't know if I've had the honey butter biscuit, other than just the biscuit that comes with meals. But like maybe there's something new. Maybe I've been out of Texas. I've been in California a little while now, so maybe I need to go back and have the new Whataburgers. I have the classic stuff.
The classics are good, and I'm always hearing about because I got family in Texas too. They live in San Antonio, and they always talk about this amazing store called HEB or Heb. They say there's a great grocery store. Yeah,
it is. And his name was like, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it stands for like Howard Edward Butt or something. I think that's his name. I'm not sure, but I think they just went with HEB rather than
That sounds like it sounds like it's nothing but the truth.
Yes, it's Howard Edward Butt Sr. That's his name.
Well, wow, that's crazy. All right, so I've had you're like I think I want to say you're the fourth director that I've had the honor of interviewing. I actually had Tamara Davis. Tamara Davis, she directed Half Baked and she directed Billy Madison. I had her on. Yeah, and so I always ask directors and actors, and you used to work at AMC. I used to work at a movie theater too. That's really cool. So what I just need to know, what 3 films totally knocked your socks off and you were like, hey, listen, I have to direct and write movies. What are the 3 films?
Well, I guess since I knew pretty young, I'll go with the younger ones. But the first one. Well, I was a really big Killer Films fan. I don't even remember them, but they were making all those films in the '90s, like Welcome to the Dollhouse and Safe and Swoon and all these movies like that. And so, Welcome to the Dollhouse was the first movie that I saw that had kind of a darkness to it. It was a young person and a darkness, and like dark humor and things like that, in a way that I could relate to at that time. And fish out of water, coming of age story, all that kind of stuff, but not like polished. It was like rough and dark and real. And so I related to that but as I got older, I was like, well, I'll skip ahead a little. As I got older, I was like, wait, but that's not how I see the world. I see the world with that, not toxically positive, with the darkness and the tough stuff and all that, but as humans, as the light and the hope and everything like that. And so the first movie that I saw that I thought, well, this is my tone and this is really, I think, what I can do, was Little Miss Sunshine. So because I was like, oh, these are characters that are going through stuff. They're flawed. They're imperfect, but they're not really being judged. I don't like looking at characters and judging them. I like playing to people's potential and everything like that, and seeing the humanity even in their mistakes, and the humor. So I really love that. But and then going back again, I worked at a video store as a teenager. I worked at AMC, did concessions, and I worked at a Blockbuster video store. That's how old I am.
Me
And
too. I worked at
yeah.
Blockbuster too. This is so cool. Yes.
Yeah. And you know how you could get your 5 free rentals, and
Oh
I would
yeah.
always max them out. Yeah, I max them out. And then someone handed me, it wasn't like, Blockbuster was pretty mainstream, but some of the people were cinephiles like me and some other people. And so somebody handed me this underground copy of Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story. I was like 18 years old, and they handed me this copy of Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story. And it was her story told through Barbie dolls. She was dealing with anorexia. She was a singer, she was the Carpenter. She was dealing with anorexia, and it was told with Barbie dolls and shot with a Super 8 camera. And I just remember being
Wow.
blown away. Yeah, I was so blown away, Emmanuel, because I was like, oh, they didn't, even if you had a lot more money, this was the way to tell this story. So all of a sudden, the barrier for entry felt lower. I didn't have a famous family. I didn't come from a lot of money. So I was like, well, if you can make a movie this powerful with a Super 8 camera and Barbie dolls, then like you don't have to have a lot of money to be a powerful filmmaker. And so that was a movie that really made me feel like I could do it. But I want to hear yours too. What made you fall in love with? What were your rentals or your movies?
Oh, here we go. I'm rubbing my hands together. Okay, all right. I'm always gonna. This is always gonna interchange or what have you throughout the years, but I'm gonna say definitely 1984 Ghostbusters with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie
Yeah,
Hudson.
yeah,
That was like to me is like the perfect blend of sci-fi and comedy. Number two,
yeah.
I love Goonies. The Goonies. That's like one of my favorite
Goonies,
movies of
the
all
classic.
time. Oh my gosh, it's gotten so. I still have the DVD copy of it, and so I will only watch it with the commentary, which has some of the best commentary you'll of all DVDs because it actually shows the original cast watching it with you, and it's amazing. Um, and
Yeah.
I'll mention something else that a lot of people don't talk about. There's a movie called Sideways with Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh yes,
I love that
yeah.
movie. Love that
Me
movie.
too.
Yes, so good because he's so flawed. Because like you're kind of rooting for Paul Giamatti's character, then you realize how flawed he is. You know what I'm saying? And they're both flawed
Yeah, yeah.
characters. So it's a wonderful movie. I'm gonna drop in another one too. There's this movie called Inner
Mhm.
Space with Dennis Quaid and Martin Short. And
Yes.
I love that movie. I mean, the special effects are crazy. So yeah, I just want to throw
Yeah.
those in. Yeah, thank you
we
so
we
much for
we
asking.
we may we may be similar ages because a lot of yours are the ones that were meant a lot to me too. And I with Sideways too, I loved the ending of it because I was like, oh, everything didn't work out perfectly, but you
Mm-mm.
know that it's gonna be okay. And that's a great story when it does. When the character changes and you know that no matter what it's going to be okay and because of that, and versus like wrapping it all up and making it, I don't know, like I just thought it was a perfect ending. And those
Exactly.
monologues, oh my god, those monologues in that movie,
Oh
man, don't
man,
get me started.
man, it's so crazy that okay. I'm telling you, we'll be able to talk for hours because like the working at I literally just had a conversation with somebody about this when I worked at Blockbuster Video because we were talking about Japanese anime and I was like, man, when I worked
Mhm.
at Blockbuster Video, man, the Japanese anime section was like 5 titles long. You know what I'm saying? Whereas now anime
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so mainstream. It's so crazy, man. I miss those times, man. I really do miss like the whole thing of going to Blockbuster and choosing the movie. It was like it was an experience, it was an event. Let's
Yeah, and we it's not the same kind of scrolling through. So you want to physically pick it up. It's a thing, It's and you talk to people like, what do you recommend? It's it's I miss that too. I mean, I know I wonder sometimes if the more we get, the more digital we get with AI and everything, if some of these old things might come back, like we might. I mean, we do have some video stores, but it's really not the same, So maybe we'll make one. Maybe you and I should start a video store.
I'm down. Listen, I'm telling you. Have you ever seen this movie called "Be Kind with Wine" with Mos Def and Jack Black?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah.
You have to see that movie. It's funny, it's emotional, it's great. I'm sorry. All right, so we got to get into Bob Trevino, but this movie, I'm okay, so I'm gonna shout out to my boy Shane because I'm like Lily, I don't have a car. So I said as soon as I watched the trailer of this video or of this movie, I said I have to see this movie. Like there's without question, I gotta see this movie. It's kind of like the first time you hear your favorite song and you just know. I knew I had to
Yeah,
watch this
yeah.
movie, and I called my boy Shane up, and we went to Charlotte because I stay in the Charlotte area.
Awesome.
And I was like, man,
Yeah.
we both watched the movie. It's so strange because like I said, I used to work at a movie theater, and we went to a Regal, and the way they have the movie theaters designed now, it looks because they sell stuff now. They sell like posters and little memorabilia, and I swear on
Mhm.
everything, it reminds me of Suncoast, which is like this retail store from back in the day where you could buy movie memorabilia and things like that. But
Yeah.
we went to the movie and we got there on time, and it's really strange because we got there right on time. We went to the concession stand, got our snacks, and the movie had already started because we anticipated, it being like 20 minutes worth of trailers, and it wasn't. And we
Yeah.
got we got in just in the nick of time with the part where Lily is talking to the psychiatrist. But it was
Yeah.
perfect because you could start the movie at that point too. And man, I'm telling
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
it's I'm glad we saw it in the theater because these new laser projections are projectors are wonderful. And man, we when the movie was over with, my friend Shane was like, you know what, man, I love you and I hate you, man. I haven't cried that much in a long time. Man, we were bawling, bro. Oh my gosh. It was like that. It was like I felt cleansed, kind of like when I watched there was this documentary about Mr. Rogers called "Won't You Be My Neighbor," and it had the
Yeah.
same effect on me where like I felt like I learned something. I felt like I wanted to live in the movie, and I think that's a very important part of a good movie if you want to live in it. Because I come from a small
Yeah.
town, and it was just really well shot. It was beautiful. One of my first questions is, and I'm so happy I'm talking to you today because I had the opportunity to buy it on digital, and I'm glad I was able to. I noticed certain things around the second time you watch it or the third time that you watch it. Um, from my understanding, back in the day, you were in a car accident. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. 17. Yeah.
So, and
17
yeah,
years old. It was just it was an inspiration for a lot of my stuff because I had this really major wreck, and my mom was in it too. And I was a wheelchair user after that for a little bit, and then I had a walker, and I lived in a rehab facility for a little bit, and so it's kind of was part of my love for fish out of water stories and late coming of age stories, and also the clear need for disability representation in films and working with disabled artists, artists who have disabilities, and so that was a big something that was really important to me to put into the film as well. And also, when I got older and I wanted a job that mattered, I cared. I had been disabled, so I thought, well, what's more important than working with people with disabilities? In my mind, like that would be if I'm gonna wait tables, or maybe I have this experience and I can help people with disabilities. So I worked for an agency that would send me out to to work or help or be an aide or a tutor for some of the younger clients. With people with disabilities, and so I put that into the story because I had never been a live-in aide like Lily Trevino was in the story, but I had been an aide and a tutor and all kinds of jobs like that. So I was like, okay, I can on that side, and then I get to cast Lauren Lolo Spencer, who I wanted to see
he
in
was
another
great.
movie since Give Me Liberty. I don't know if you've seen Give Me Liberty, but she's incredible in Give Me Liberty.
Wow.
Yeah, and she actually has ALS. The character she's playing has a different disability, but But it was an opportunity to have that in the film, and it seemed like it all aligned perfectly.
It really did, because I thought, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I thought Lily represented you in a way where, like, she's optimistic, she's caring, she's loving, and she's a little broken. But also Lolo's character Daphne represents you where she's like sweet and sympathetic, but she's like, yeah, you have a right to be angry about stuff, because like a lot when you're in
Yeah,
that position, it even says it in she says it in the movie. She says, I'm exhausted. And so I think I
yeah.
thought it represented two sides of you. If I'm right or wrong, please let me know.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think I try to put some of myself into every character so that I feel it's, and then you cast the right people and they bring their own stories and their own truth to it, and then there's this beautiful collaboration that becomes what the movie is. And I think and with Daphne's you know dialogue there, Lauren Lolo Spencer's dialogue as Daphne, when she says it's exhausting. I had three or four friends with different disabilities read the script, and we had some accessibility consultants as well, and multiple consultants and friends pointed out that exact line. It's exhausting, because
Wow.
they felt that line summed up everything about what their experience was. It's like people don't know, that you're going through all these things, like and they're not in your shoes. They don't know what it took to get to that party, or what it took to get to that appointment, or what you've been through that day, or how much pain you're in, or what challenge you might face. And so, like, that's why I went to her close up there for that line, because I was like,
Yes,
there's a lot in this line.
definitely. I felt it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I felt it. Wow. By the way, folks, who are listening, we're going into to spoiler territory. So please go out there and watch it if it's still in theaters. Please go out there and buy it digitally. Think about this. Think about it like this: the movie is the main entree. Like if you go to Olive Garden, this podcast is kind of like the after dinner mint, those delicious Andes mints they used to hand you man, they are great. But that's the way you should look at it. And French Stewart. I want to talk about French Stewart real quick, because
Yes, please.
he's it's he plays it off where like he's a jerk, but there are moments where he's funny, and I almost feel guilty of laughing at certain parts. Like there's this part in the movie where Lily says, "Don't say my name," and he says, "Lily," and I'm
Yeah.
dying. Is he?
You caught it. Hey, I have a question for you. Did you catch that on the second or third viewing, or not
I
the first, right?
I caught that on the third. I'm like, was that improvised?
Yeah, no, well, no, I can't, I'm trying to remember. I think I have to look and see if that was improvised or not. I wouldn't be surprised either way, because so much of the narcissistic tactics were in the script, but at the same
Right.
time, French Stewart is so brilliant that he would bring just absolute gold, off script. So I actually don't remember, but I know in the editing, my editor Anisha and Shara and I, we were kind of laughing, obviously when we were tweaking that, and we had him say it. I mean, and then for me, and then sometimes that we'd be at a screening, and he said, "Don't say my name," or whatever. And he says, "Lily," and Anisha and I would look at each other with a little smile. The editor, because people don't always catch it the first time, but we knew, because we watched it over and over and over, and really, it's just so absurd.
It
But it's
is.
true. That's what they do. Narcissists don't care. They don't care what they're actually going to double down if you tell them not to do something.
Man, he is so, and it's so crazy because on the way to the movie, my friend was like, "Yeah, French Stewart is in this movie." I'm like, "He is," and because I haven't seen him since Third Rock from the Sun, and like it's like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
what I'm saying, he's so great, I mean, but he's supposed to be funny a little bit, right? In the
100%. He's supposed to be a little funny, because my thought was, if he wasn't a little funny or charming, then you're going to think Lily's not that smart, and Lily is smart. Lily's not a
yes,
doormat. She's a survivor. She's incredibly smart. This is a cope. Her hope, and all this is a strength, not a weakness. And if we had made him just straight up like twisty villain, not charming at all, or not, not nuanced at all, nobody would have rooted for her, because he would be like, "Well, can't you see this? He's just like," and I know he goes to a really dark place, and he treats her really unkind, but a lot of us have been through things like that, and people who haven't been through it all, they might say, "Oh, that's really far. That's not believable." I'm like, it is believable. People treat people like this, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, we did try to, because he has to be charming. He has to kind of like get people on his side, even when he's asking for absurd things. That's what they do, you know.
That diner scene, we like, do you have any money? I'm like,
Yeah.
this guy is off the man. Oh, I wanted to talk about Barbie because man, her eyes tell so much. She has these big, beautiful, expressive eyes. There, one part of the
Yeah.
movie I'm really impressed with. Like Leguizamo and Lily are like having that argument outside of the diner. She walks
Yeah.
away, and then he says to her, "Hey, listen, just because I'm not your father doesn't mean I can't be your friend." And she is
Yeah.
like this shot is so beautiful where she comes to an understanding. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
everything's cool. It almost seems
Yeah. It's new for her.
it's so great, you know, because like I'm very sensitive too, and I can understand her character and her plight of wanting just to get away from the situation. Um, man,
Right.
yeah, so she's so good in this movie, and John Leguizamo. I've been a fan of John Leguizamo since this movie called Hanging with the Homeboys, and it used to always come on TBS, and I was so psyched. He actually liked one of my posts, with a Bob Trevino post that I posted. I was so psyched. I think the big, I was so psyched. I think one of the big things about this movie is yes, he's a good guy, but he also has his flaws too. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done. You know, it when it, and man, I cried a lot. I'm like,
Yeah, because he can't be a saint, you know, because then he's one
right,
dimensional, you know. Like he's got to be a nuanced, three dimensional character that's going through real things. But it's because, you know, even the line "we're all a little broken, but you're going to be just fine." It's like we're all a little broken, but that doesn't mean we can't help each other heal, you know. And nobody is presented as perfect or fully healed in this film, and they're all on a journey. And Lily is certainly on a journey, and I just Barbie Ferrer is just beyond amazing. I mean, they're both amazing. Everybody, my whole cast, you know, and I just think it was important to me to say that you don't have to be perfectly healed to make a difference in somebody's life, and we can celebrate the baby steps in the beginning of our healing. It's okay if it's a journey, you know, but the important thing is to take the steps and to help each other, you know.
absolutely. I always say that, you know, it's we I'm a bit of an introvert, but I know that we need each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There'll be
yeah,
moments that when I be at my job and I'm not feeling my best, especially working in retail when I used to work in retail, where I'm not feeling my best. And like somebody will come up to me and say, "Hey, how you doing?" We just start talking, and I start to feel better. We all need each other. You know what I'm saying? Whether we want to admit it or
yeah.
not. Um, um,
Yeah, and we have so much more power. We're told all the time we don't have power over things, or you know, maybe things that make us feel small in the big picture with all these things going on. And it's like, look, you know, this stranger was kind to me on the internet, and you and I wouldn't be talking right now unless a stranger had helped me heal by being kind to me on the internet. So it's like, if that has a ripple effect that can turn into this, then what kind of power do we have in our day to day to have these little small acts of kindness, you know, really matter and have a ripple effect on other people's lives? So,
e-
um, yeah.
exactly. No, just like me and you talking today. I never thought in a million, man. This is great. It's great. It's so crazy. All right, so today I randomly ran into this quote, Jordan Peele, and he said like
Hmm.
the process of writing has to be fun. Like you have to
Yeah,
chase the fun. Fun works. So as a writer and a
yeah.
director, do you believe in that statement? Like when you're writing these things, it can't just be something that feels like a chore. It has to be fun in order for you to complete it.
I think so. You know, for me, I some of my sense of humor comes in the truth of the absurdity of life, you know, and
Mm,
not not judging people, but having that we all have sharpened POVs, and we're all bringing our past experiences and looking at the world from different points of view. And so sometimes if you really embody it as you're writing, you really enter into a different point of view, you can see the humanity as well as the truthful absurdity of the way that we look at things. And so I think, and I especially, like I said, love doing that without judgment, because I think with that, if we, and these are, I'm talking about characters that are basically trying to be good, that are flawed, but
Right.
if you can look at these characters without judgment, then you can allow room for them to grow and heal, and they're going to do the wrong things. And I think that that's funny and absurd, that it's so absurd to me that we try to do the most absurd things to get what we want in life, and then we realize, and only to go this whole journey to take this one little baby step most of the time, and but that baby
Yeah.
step, that baby step's everything. Like, some of the most powerful moments in our lives don't come from these giant sweeping things, but these little moments where we realized, or decided to do something different, or try a new way of being and become something else. And so I think there's a playfulness, like kids don't judge themselves the way little kids don't judge themselves the way we do as adults, and little kids are
Right.
open to making fools of themselves and all these things. And if we can be more like that, we can be more playful as we're creating, and we can look at our characters kind of like their inner children. Like, who are they? Who did they? What were their dreams? What were their fears? Like, the whole writing process for me becomes more playful when I come at it from that place, rather than this adult brain that's like trying to like make it make sense, all the time. I try to, the root
Yeah.
of it is usually coming from a joyous, playful place.
Um, there's a scene in Hook where they're all. Have you ever seen Hook? The movie Hook with Robin
Yeah, yeah.
Williams.
Bangarang, bangarang.
Bangarang, yes. And so, like, when they're all at the table and everything, and they're having that moment where they're pretending like they're eating, it's kind of like a metaphor for just like being able to let go and go after your dreams. At least to me, like when people are
Mm,
looking and people are saying that's silly. No, you're still going.
mm,
It's a certain resiliency that kids have that you kind of lose
mm.
as an adult. You know what I mean? So like I really
Yeah.
believe in that. Like yeah, tapping into that inner child. You know what I mean? I really do believe in that. And I've said that a million times on my podcast, but oh
I
wow.
second it.
As a filmmaker, is there any advice you would give to others, as far as who want to
Yeah.
do what you're doing?
I, it took me a minute to make my first feature, and I think a couple things I would say is, learn to enjoy the process. Wherever you are, it's, you're learning stuff and you're building muscles that you'll use later. If you don't enjoy the process, it's going to be a long, hard journey. It's going to be a long, hard journey anyway, but like, it's going to be harder. But if you can enjoy the process, you can be present, you can learn the things you're learning right now, and then take those lessons in the next chapter and then the next chapter. Then when you do get some kind of opportunity, which will probably be something you build for yourself, because it's never really just handed to anybody, for the most part. But like, when you do get that opportunity, when you're ready, you'll have built all those muscles along the way. So, and you don't want to be resentful that it takes so long. Like, I certainly thought I would make my first feature earlier than now, but I'm great. It came at the right time. Like, if I look back, I was like, oh, those muscles weren't built 10 years ago. Now they're built. Now I'm ready. Now I could do a movie 10 times this budget or 20 times this budget, and it wouldn't, I'm ready. So I think that's one thing. And then I think the other thing I would say, well, I have two other pieces of advice.
Okay.
One is, don't wait for permission, because no one will
Mm,
ever give it to you. No. And people think, oh, how did you get someone to give you money for your movie? I was like, I decided I was going to make it happen, and then I did everything it took to make it happen. And I found the right people, my producing partners and everything. I found them, and we did it together. But you have to make that decision first. You have to make the decision that it's going to be in your hands, and you're going to make. And I know it sounds absurd, and I've been there, but there really is a mentality shift between waiting for someone to give you a chance at something and deciding that you're going to do it no matter what. And it doesn't mean, maybe deciding you're going to do it no matter what doesn't mean that you're going to make $100 million movie by yourself, right? But
right.
but there's a world in which you have the resources and time to do something and to make it happen, where you don't have to make permission, and you can build that train. You can, it's a moving train, and people start to hop on because you're doing it no matter what. And when you go to pitch someone, you're not asking their permission. You are offering them a part of being something that you're going to do no matter what. So if you come at it with that mentality, with confidence, not arrogance, you do have to actually have some experience, and otherwise you'll just come across as being out of touch maybe. But if you come at it from that way, you're determined, you pick projects that really matter to you, and you know why you're doing them, and your why and your cause is so much bigger than any insecurities or fears, because it'll help you get through those insecurities and fears. If you can't be courageous for yourself, sometimes you can be courageous for your cause. So if you know your
Okay.
themes, your themes like like for me with Bob Trevino, every obstacle I always had the cause and the theme. Small acts of kindness matter. You know, like
Definitely.
I'm living proof of this, and this is. I would go to the ends of the earth to tell a story that small acts of kindness matter, and that baby steps of healing, and and that we're all a little broken. We need each other, and that it matters, and we're more powerful than we think. And so these were the lessons that I had learned that were so important for me to share. And then I guess the last one, I know I have a lot here, but I've had 20
Oh
years,
no, this
so,
is great. This
so
is great.
I think the last one is for a long time, I was trying to do what I thought other people would like. I was like, oh, let me write this. And it's kind of still my voice, but if I tweak it a little and I do this, that, and the other, then it'll be more suited. My thought was if I went all the way me, I would lose people, and that people wouldn't be able to relate. And it took a long time for me to find my real voice. And funny enough, my recent writing is really similar. It's much better, but it's really similar to the overall voice of my early writing,
Mm,
and in between it was different stuff. And I'm like, wait, I did all this to get back to where I was. And it's okay because I'm a better writer now, and I was learning all those skills in the middle. But now I realize with Bob Trevino Likes It, I went all the way me. I leaned into the fear. I was vulnerable, very vulnerable, and I didn't lose anybody. In fact, I gained a lot more people. And even if they come from completely different background, or have completely different experiences, they can relate because they this term specificity is universal. And you hear that all the time, and you think, yeah, you hear it. And then I was like, oh, I lived it now, because here are people all around the world that can relate so much to Lily Trevino. And that's powerful. And if I had held back, or if I had not gone all the way me, or if I had not cast these incredible actors who went all the way them, brought themselves to these roles and just really showed up in every possible way, we wouldn't be having that experience, So don't be afraid. Like, if it scares you, if especially your first feature, be honest, be real, be vulnerable, be yourself, because you never know who needs to hear that. And if it's a little scary, there are probably other people that are afraid to say it, and you don't have to be one of those people. You can say it, and then you might find pockets of people that needed to hear this all along and are too afraid to do it themselves. Or just not, it's not their industry or something. So no, you're not going to lose people by being yourself. You're going to gain the right people, and the right people are going to want to listen to you, and you're going to find your tribe, and your audience.
yes, finding your tribe. That's
Yeah.
man. That's what I got from the movie, because everybody needed somebody. You know what I mean, in the movie. Um,
Yeah.
there's a part in the movie, and again, guys, spoilers. But there's a part at the funeral where, like, Lily tells this off joke, and then she turns around and he sees, or she sees, his wife, and she looks really
Mm-hmm.
angry. Right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's in my opinion, that's to kind of throw off the viewers. Like, did she catch wind of the joke, or is she angry at the fact that she Lily tried to go in her house, or it could be a number of things. Well, what was it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that Jeannie Trevino is basically a good person. And when she says it was a lot, when she says, because Lily texted her like texted Bob like, what it said, 40 times,
Oh yeah,
and it was like
yeah.
30 missed call. Like she wanted to invite Lily she wanted to learn to be okay with it, but it was just all a lot. And her husband was, had 2 heart attacks, and she's trying to juggle all the stuff, and she's trying to be there for her husband, who's trying to say, hey, this young friend I had meant something to me. And then actually Lily helped Jeannie and Bob reconnect in a way, and
Definitely.
so it's like she has this, I think she has a lot of, she's negotiating, as you say, or navigating a lot of conflicting emotions in that moment. I think it's like that, just a reminder that is her husband right there in the casket. And was this the time that she wanted to have this confrontation with Lily, or this meeting at this exact time? Probably not, and there she is, maybe just having a bad day. I mean, it's not a good day. And so, like, here's this young woman. She makes a joke or whatever. She's crying, but like that's in a way that's Jeannie's day, That's
Yeah.
Jeannie's day to grieve. That's Jeannie's moment. And here's this young woman that she's never. It'd be a different story if they met before. Maybe they all had dinner, but But this is like not the right moment for her to have this. And so I think she's sharing that this was hard for her too. This was a lot, and this was not, and even though she made this thing I'm not going to give away, which you're going to know in a minute,
Right,
um,
right.
she, she didn't plan on it being right then. And also, like, this, he's what, 25, 30 years older than her, and here's this young woman just walking up to her husband's casket, like without even introducing herself, and I mean,
Mm,
I know it's just it's just a weird moment for her to have to do this right then, I think. And we actually had takes that were a little meaner, but that was
wow.
the one we chose to go with because we just um she's not like mad at Lily, but she's just not wanting to do this right now, and she's also having, yeah, conflicting. I mean, Rachel Bay Jones is beyond incredible. I can't think
Yeah.
of another actress that could have done all those feelings in one moment like that. And I've screened that at high schools with like 500 teenagers, and you can hear a pen drop in that exchange.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, 500 people just waiting with bated breath. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did want, yeah, I mean, I tried to keep it grounded and sharpen POVs and everything, but I did want you to kind of, think that she's in trouble, that Lily's in trouble, and then that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. And because I've felt that way in life, with especially with, if I have sometimes I've had friends, male older friends, and maybe their wives were like, "Can I trust you or not? Are you really, you're not going to like try to get my husband or something?" But like, she's probably
Mm,
just got a lot of feelings, like, and in some ways, Lily got to spend a lot of quality time with her husband in the final weeks and months, more than and they went camping, they did all these things, and
yes.
it's just a lot of feelings, I think.
Yes, definitely.
So
And she,
that was a long answer. That was a long
no,
answer.
I love that answer. It gave me clarity to that. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Final thing is, how can people reach you through your social media platforms? But also, I know people can get the see the movie on Amazon Prime, buy the digital version. But are there going to be physical copies, DVDs, Blu-rays?
I hope so.
Okay.
At the moment, Lionsgate at Home doesn't have a plan for that I'm aware of. But
Oh,
I was hoping they'll do a run. I was going to ask people because I've been getting DMs of people asking, and I thought maybe they can just do like a limited run or something, because
yes.
I think people want to have it in their collection. I want to have one, I want to do a commentary.
Please, I really want that because like I'm all about. Although I'm not gonna lie, I still I like the streaming is cool, but there's nothing like getting your physical copy, and
Yeah.
sharing it with friends, and hopefully, and when you share it with a friend, they'll bring it back to you in the same kind of condition. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking your time out today just to talk about this amazing movie. And we got to end with a dad joke, and I got one for you. Okay, check this out.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. I'm in. Yeah.
what is a pirate's favorite letter?
R. R.
You think it'd be R, but it's the C.
Oh.
No,
That's
no,
good. Hey, Emmanuel, have you seen the new pirate movie?
no.
It's rated R.
Rated R. That was good. I tell dad jokes to my nephews all the time. It's great. But thank you so
I think
much.
I think yours is better. But yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me, and yeah, thanks for supporting the film. Indie films, it takes a village, and we need all the word of mouth we can get. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm 100% certain from so far it's like my favorite movie this summer. Oh, sorry, not this summer, this year so far. And I'm excited to spread the word about it. And thank you so much for making this amazing film, and thank you so much for your time today.
You bet. You bet. Thanks for caring and being a real cinephile. It means a lot. So
Absolutely.
without you and people who love movies, we're just talking to ourselves.
Yes, you said that right. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, and I hope you
All
have an
right.
amazing Sunday. Thank you.
You too. Bye, Emmanuel. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Ciao.